Why, hello there. A Knife's Tale here. I'm bringing you a review today of this Rike Knives Tissot, however you pronounce it. This is number one. There is a second version of this knife. It is considerably different, so I wouldn't call it a second version. It's more of a completely different knife. This is a strange bird that really feels like they executed in proper Reich fashion, and for the most part. But the design is kind of not great, not intelligently finished and executed here. It's kind of they dropped the ball or stopped at the concept phase, honestly. Let's just do away with all that, get right into specs, so we can actually talk about why the heck this thing is so goddarn bizarre. You have, what is that? A little under 3 3/4 of an inch, so I'd call that like 3.65 of blade. Cutting edge, you have basically 3 inches and 5/8. Handle is 8 3/8 overall, which is, approximately, I don't know, 7.4, maybe a little less than that. 4 3/4, so 4.75 on the handle length. Comparisons to Civivi Conspirator for full size and Civivi Elementum for small. I mean, there's really a reason to put the small there. It's bigger than both. It is a decent sized knife. It still feels right in that realm of full size. It's edging close to a large knife, but it really doesn't feel it. So I'm still going to call it a full size knife, but it is larger than both. Grip length, which, I mean, we're going to talk extensively about grip for a while, but you have slightly under 2 AA batteries for grip length, but you do have this area that you can kind of use. I actually think it is usable, but yeah, the grip was some interesting decisions here. It is, well, except for the pivot, it's actually not that thick. It should be, I think, thinner than the Conspirator. We will see when I pull out the... Oh, let me shut the Civivi Elementum. Don't need that sitting out there. But we will see when I pull out these calipers. Why is that 15 now? Oh, it was literally open a little bit. Okay. Handle thickness at its very thickest. Oh, no, okay, 546 thousandths. It is a tiny bit thicker than the Conspirator at its thickest. Blade stock thickness should be pretty thick. 175 thousandths. Yeah, it's pretty thick. However, behind the edge should not be. It has an extremely deep hollow grind. Can you catch that? Yeah, it's pretty darn deep. Very small edge bevel on this thing, probably a little bit high initial edge angle for my taste. Come on, get in there. This is going to be extremely hard to do. Somewhere between 6 and 8 thousandths behind the edge. It is a razor thin knife. It does get a little bit thicker at the tip, but oh my word, is it thin. This would be a laser beam. Definitely is a laser beam. Weight. It is a full titanium with a shell and everything. I don't think it's going to be that light, but 5 ounces, honestly, for the size and all that's going on here, that's really quite good. It's honestly, yeah, feels about right, but it's a bit surprising that they managed to get it that light. Hardware, you have, I think this is a T9. Hold on, let me get my, I did tighten it with a T8, but I think it is a T9. Could it be a T10? Okay, it's a T10, but T8 and T9 worked. It just feels a little bit like loose. So that's fine. Now, there's nothing else here. When I pulled this off in the unboxing, because you just have to click this up, it moves a little bar up off of another bar that holds it on. Slide it forward. I expected there to be screws there. There aren't. The only screw that I could find on this darn thing was the pivot, which is strange. This actually helps to hold it together, or over top of that bar right in there. As far as I can tell, there were no other actual screws. I mean, it holds together just fine. It's solid. So if it works, it works. But it was a little surprising when I took it apart in the unboxing. Alright. Now, I believe that brings us to the end of our specs. So, unless I'm forgetting something. No, I don't believe so. So, there's a lot of good here, and there's a lot of bad. First of all, this is a Richard Wu design, supposedly. It says it right there for some reason. The blade is completely clean except for the blade steel and the number right up there. That's M390, number 74. It, of course, has a big satin on the bevel, and this up here has some sort of blasting. And a horizontal satin on this very fine little edge here. A lot of tricks, a lot of impressive construction, all typical of Rike, right? They're very impressive. Says the name of the blade. Doesn't really need to say that there, but it does. It's not really hurting too much there, and the Rike logo is actually there, so the most thing out of the way is I don't know why that's written on the blade. It is a liner lock, it is on bearings, it is titanium handles. There is the lock bar is steel. It has a not deep carry pocket clip with a roller underneath. Okay, so let's just touch on the basic things real fast. No, we just touched on the basic things is what I'm trying to say. Oh, and it's a drop point blade. Spear point, honestly. Alright, so there is a lot of good. This grind is amazingly thin. I mean, that is thick blade stock, and this shows just how thin it can get. It's absolutely fantastic. This is a cutter, and the finish, like the execution of this, the way the light plays with this satin is really quite nice. And it is a deep hollow grind. Excellent stuff there. Love to see that. The way it assembles and clicks together and holds together is really, really, really cool. But as I said, it sort of falls apart beyond the concept phase. Like the initial design phase is where it ends. So let's talk about the blade. First of all, you have this big old weird thumb disc thing on there. That is actually the stop pin there and there for the open and close position. It is attached to the blade in two spots. It's on there good. And it needs to be on there. Unfortunately, it is in the cutting path of what could be a really, really nice slicer up close, but you sort of got to go over that to get there. Which, I mean, it's not too bad, so I'm not going to hit it too hard there. But the shape and design of this thing is completely bizarre and unnecessary. This whole end of it doesn't really need to exist. but it exists because of a poor decision that was made on the whole thing overall. If you had just cut this off here, you would have more access to the blade, and it would be fine. You'd still have your stop pinpoints there and there. However, because of this angle here and how gradual this slope is, you can see how it's just like a gradual slope, and how smooth it is. While it works for the thumb flick, you have to be in there, though. I have figured that out. It doesn't work for the reverse flick. This area is just, it's too slick for the reverse flick. So you actually have to go low and hit right about here on the reverse flick. And you can get it. It took me some figuring out of where I need to put my finger, and occasionally it still falls off a little bit, but for the most part, it's pretty reliable down there. I don't necessarily want to have to figure out all the geometries on my knife before I figure out how to actually actuate it, but... So, I mean, this area down here serves a purpose for the reverse flick, but it's really small, if this was actually designed better up here as something that you could actually push off of and not slip off, it would be completely unnecessary to have this lower area. So, starting off, the thumb stud disc thing is not the greatest design. It looks okay. It looks fine. Honestly, I think the knife would be better looking without it there. If they had made this thing just like a front flipper, I mean, that would appeal to fewer people, but it would be a clean design. It's already clean, and I like the overall look of the knife. However, there are some very serious issues here, as I said. That is annoying, but not a serious issue. This plunge grind is also very, very, very annoying. They went to the lengths of giving us an obscenely thin hollow. And then, as you can see, there's steel left behind the edge termination, and the plunge actually hits, like, right here. It is hitting just that tiny little fraction in front of the edge termination. Why? Just why? If they had just dropped it down there, it wouldn't be a problem. The only thing I can think of is because they curved it like this, if you happen to slip forward into it, you're not going to hit it as bad, or there's going to be a little bit of material stop. You're only going to cut yourself a little bit. But you could have still left some of that and not had us have the plunge grind go that far forward. Just stop it there. It's bizarre. It's weirdly shaped. And, I mean, personally, I would suggest just taking a Dremel and getting rid of that whole little corner of steel, personally. But, yeah. The fit and finish and the action is, of course, good. We're moving away from the blade now. It's Rike. You kind of expect that. It's not quite as drop shutty, but I also haven't spent time dialing this one in, so I might be able to get it there. But right now there is no play, and I can feel the bearings just a tiny bit, but yeah, that's it. It is centered and there's no play. Moving on from the blade, of course, well, also this jimping, while the ramp does provide a use, the jimping itself is not good. You can't front flip this in its current state. You have the big pivot, which it's cool, it's fine. It's like one of the most detailed things on this slick knife, which is kind of nice. Of course, the shell, this particular one is the DLC. This is a $395 knife normally. I did get it on a little bit of a sale. And the plain version, and there's also an Ultim version. I believe they come in at $365. I will say that this is not a knife that I will recommend. Nothing's bad, but there is a very real chance that you're going to get this and you're not going to like it. For these reasons, but there's a big one coming up. Lock bar access is actually quite good. It drops, yeah, it drops to the nail, but it does drop pretty consistently to the nail, and you can definitely get it from the side, so you're not really in danger there as long as you do that. And if you want to go up exceptionally high and sort of come from, not just from the side, but like put your flat of your finger in there, very little of actual blade touches you. So I already mentioned the bearings. Yeah. The sheath is cool. The sheath shell, sure. And up here is wonderful. See how nice and rounded and soft and perfectly executed this is? Beautiful. Now look at this. The entire bottom line of this knife is basically a hard right angle. There is no chamfer here. It is a hard right angle. In fact, this area is not just milled down, it's actually sort of bowled out a little bit. So it actually comes out a little and flares out a little at the lip. So it's a hard right angle that actually sort of dips down in. Yeah, it needs to come out and, you know, be a little more obtuse on the angle for the softening. But no. Basically, all of this, hard angle. There's a chamfer here. And there's a chamfer right back here on this tiny little area of the butt end. But from here forward, there is not for some reason. So, it makes a rather abrupt change in angle and quite a unique feel in the hand. In your basics position back here, not only do you have hard angles that if you really like grip into this thing, you're going to start feeling, but you're far away from the blade here. Pretty far away from the blade. And it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. It's not... I'm not going to say that this is not a good knife in the sense of... Is it well executed? Yes. Can you find a position that is comfortable enough to use it? Yes. But that is not going to extend to everybody. It's just... these angles and the way it's been finished down on the entire bottom of the knife, basically, is just bizarre. It's like it's not been accounted for. And then there's this area here. And believe it or not, I actually find this area to be relatively more comfortable. And I say that in severe air quotes because it's still not super comfortable. I'm still dealing with these angles. And if I grip in, if I'm just like lightly holding it, this isn't too bad, though it's still very blocky. But if I'm gripping into it to actually push it through material, which this laser beam of a blade wants to go through, it's very blocky and kind of uncomfortable. It's very hard angles and everything like that. Which, and also, I mean, just look at the shape of it. It's like it wasn't designed for a human hand in that way, which is peculiar. Like, looking at this thing, I thought this would work, and honestly, this area in its shape would work if it was rounded, and it was giving you, like, actual contouring or something to make it a little bit more comfortable. Believe it or not, this would actually work pretty well. It actually offers a little bit of a stop there. You're sort of behind that, so it keeps you from slipping up. I feel locked in there. It's just those edges. And then the sort of death knell in the coffin, or the nail in the coffin for this thing is they have a really tall clip on there, partially due to the fact that they put a roller underneath the clip to help it get in and out of the pocket. But the clip structure itself is not only tall on this very thin knife that you definitely feel, but it too has pretty severe hard edges on it. So you're definitely up on the flat of this clip, and it's not always, depending on where you grip it, not the most comfortable thing in the world. You can kind of see it poking right in there. Yeah. Also, as good as potentially this clip could have been, the angles and shapes up at the front here, with this like tall incline with a thick kind of tip over there, it's just so in and out of the pocket. Like, they could have definitely come up with a design, given a little bit a thinner top end, rounded the whole thing, softened it, and given us a much more functional clip. The roller is not really doing anything to necessarily like necessitate its presence. So if they had maybe even just shortened the clip a little bit over top of it, so it didn't stick out quite as much, so you could interface with some of this nice contouring back here more. I will say the clip is not the be-all end-all. It's not the worst thing ever, but it just does not play well with the ergos, and they are the major problem on this knife. So, yeah. I bought this knife. I wanted to like this knife. I like the look of this knife. I like the idea of what they've got going here. But getting it in hand was just like, whoa. Who did not ask questions before just putting this thing into production? Because it's a little bit weird. I'm sure it will suit some people, but it is definitely something you're gonna want to go in with a grain of salt, and definitely consider the fact that, are you willing to send it back if that's the case? Because it's definitely not going to be for everyone. So, sadly, I mean, this knife is screaming for a V2. Just update it, give us a little bit more thickness, give us some roundings, give us a slightly altered clip structure in the front end here with some chamfering and rounding on it, and improve this structure up here. Even this structure down here with the plunge grind, like, I could live with it because I can definitely cut some out of it and cut it back so it's not going to cause a problem or anything. But it needs to be addressed, a few things on this one, so I can't really recommend this one, so unfortunately. So the Tissot, I don't think it's going to stick around. I really don't. So yeah, it's ugh. I keep wanting to say that I like it more, or I keep wanting to. I guess that's the honeymoon phase and all, but it just strange decisions. Strange decisions. All right, I'm gonna stop belaboring the point. I will end things here and say thank you very, very much for watching. I wish I could have brought you better news on this particular one because I like this design, but it is what it is. I'll hopefully see you in the next one or another one. Have a great day. That's it for me.